Hey everyone, it's Jenna. Thank you for joining me today. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about how our bodies are an expression of our subconscious mind and our beliefs. So these beliefs can originate from our childhood. Our subconscious mind is like a sponge before the age of 6, and that's where we really develop our beliefs about ourselves, especially when it comes to our bodies. And so if you grew up in a family where you weren't fully supported to be the fullest expression of yourself, like so many of us experienced in our childhood, then you may be storing these beliefs about yourself in your subconscious mind that aren't necessarily serving you. And they may be negatively impacting you to this day. So now we know, because of neuroplasticity, that we can actually change our subconscious mind and we can change the wiring of our brain. And the way that we can do that is by learning new patterns, learning new concepts and ideas, and repeating them over and over and over again. So the subconscious mind is programmed through repetition. And that's why if you were told something about yourself over and over and over again, then you might have started to really believe that about yourself. And it's really not your fault that this happened to you or that you have created these negative beliefs about yourself, because it happens to all of us and it's very common and it's unfortunate. But we are now empowered to shift and to change the concept of ourselves. And that again starts in our subconscious mind. So when it comes to our body is basically just an expression of these beliefs that we have over the course of our lifetime, really implanted into our cells, our DNA, our tissues. And so for me, for example, when I was young, I had scoliosis, and I was told that because of my spine, I was going to have to get surgery. I was going to have to get a rod put in my spine. And I was, of course, quite disturbed about this because I didn't want to quit dancing. I also loved to snowboard. I was very active. I did gymnastics. And this was going to mean that I was going to have to stop doing these activities that I loved to do. And so I did go over this with my mother. At the time, she luckily really supported me to make my own decision about my body, and I'm forever grateful to her for that, because I was able to discover tools that really helped me stay strong and healthy in my body so that I could avoid getting surgery. And now in my 40s, I'm mostly pain-free. I keep my body moving. I know what exercises to do. I know what movements are therapeutic and helpful for my body. And if I had listened to that doctor at such a young age, then I wouldn't have ever been able to do the things that I've done now in my life. And so not only did I listen to my intuition, did I listen to the still small voice within me, but I did get programmed by that doctor, because he told me that if I did not get this surgery, that I would not be able to have children, that my back would hurt too much, and that I wouldn't be strong enough to have kids. And that just was silly and not true at all. But because I was so young and I was very impressionable, I took on that belief about myself, about my body, and I subconsciously made the agreement with myself that I was not going to have children. And so I didn't have children. I didn't create that experience in my life. And it wasn't until maybe 2 years ago, when I turned 40 years old, that I realized, oh wow, my entire life I have been led to believe that I couldn't have kids. But there's no reason why I should believe that about myself. That is actually not true. I really wish that at a younger age that I had been able to discover that limiting belief that had been planted in my subconscious mind, and that I had been able to turn it around. And so that's why I'm really passionate about helping other people to also identify where these limiting beliefs come from, because they can really negatively impact your life. think about something in your life that you have really wanted to achieve, whether it's a health goal, a relationship goal, a financial goal, and maybe you just haven't been able to get there for whatever reason. And I would recommend taking a look at how maybe your parents spoke to you about that particular goal when you were younger, and maybe take a look at how society programmed you to believe that you could or couldn't achieve that goal. So especially when it comes to money or finances, a lot of that we learn from our family, from our parents, and what we saw them doing with money and how was money for them. That's why there's books out there like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And this can really help us to discover, where did this limiting belief come from? Where did it originate from? So that then we can kind of dissect it and reprogram ourselves with, what do we really want? What do we truly believe that we are capable of? Not because someone told us that we can have this thing, or because somebody told us that we can do this thing, but because we've decided for ourselves that I don't give a crap. I'm going to do this. I don't care what my parents say about it, what society says I can have or what I can't have. Really, we are the ones that make the decision. We decide what we're capable of. We decide what we can have in this life. And we deserve to have all of our dreams come true. So if there's something in your life that you really want, a goal that you really want to achieve, what I would suggest doing is getting out your journal and starting to write down and make some notes about, where did I first learn about this belief, and when did I start to identify with a thought or a program that told me that I can't do this thing. Because I will guarantee you that if there is some area of your life where you have just not been able to achieve a certain goal, no matter how hard you have tried, that this really comes from the subconscious mind. And it really comes from these beliefs that weren't even ours. They were programmed in us at a very young age. And now we can take control, we can take our power back, and we can say, no, I get to have this. So once you've discovered where these beliefs came from, it can kind of give you a better sense of what to do next. Because sometimes one of the reasons why we really struggle with reprogramming our subconscious mind to get what we desire, we have maybe resentment in the way. So this doctor that told me I can't have kids because I have scoliosis, well, I had to do some work on releasing that resentment and that anger towards him. I have a video on how to do this, so I will link that below and you can check that out. But doing some healthy somatic release for maybe anger or resentment or fear that might be associated with this particular belief can really be helpful, because that can often be an obstacle that stands in our way when we're wanting to reprogram ourselves to achieve or to have the goal that we desire. So once you do that, and you're able to identify where this belief came from, and maybe it came from a number of different sources, and if you need to do any emotional release, I suggest doing that first, starting there. The second thing to do would be to start to write down those limiting beliefs, because they might be showing up in different ways, in different language, and notice if you are engaging in negative self-talk when it comes to this particular thing. So when it comes to this goal, how are you talking to yourself about it? So if you're wanting money, if you're wanting to be rich, how often do you say to yourself, I can't afford that. I'm never going to be able to do that because I just will never be able to be financially abundant enough to achieve that. Well, just notice when you say that to yourself. And that would be the next step. Next thing I would suggest doing is taking that disempowering belief and replacing it with an empowering belief. This is one of the ways that you can create an affirmation, or as Napoleon Hill called it, an autosuggestion. And you can create that auto-suggestion and use it in a number of ways. The subconscious mind is very open right before sleep and right first thing in the morning. So you can repeat that auto-suggestion to yourself by saying it to yourself. You can write it down and just repeatedly write it down before you go to bed. And you can also create a recording. You can do this on the Parrot app. There's a number of other apps you can do where you can loop your own auto-suggestion and play it back to yourself right before bed, or some people like to play it to themselves while they sleep. I don't particularly like to do that, but I do like to pay attention to the disempowering beliefs that come up throughout the day, and then take those and turn them around into a more empowering belief. And so sometimes I do this, I do it in different ways. I like writing it down. I like repeating to myself what my new affirmation is, and I do it before I go to bed. So that's my way of working with this information and reprogramming the subconscious mind. So what I would suggest doing is first, just start by identifying, where do I have this desire, this burning desire in my heart, this goal in mind, but I just can't seem to get there. And then the next step is to identify, where was I taught, or where did I first learn to believe that I can't have this thing? Write those down. Then notice, how do I talk to myself about this particular goal? What do I believe? And how do I reinforce those beliefs throughout the day by what I'm saying to myself when I talk to myself? Because we all do it. We all talk to ourselves. The next step would be take those disempowering beliefs, replace them with an empowering belief. So when working with an affirmation, I think it's very individual, and every person is going to resonate with a different style or a different way to speak to themselves. So some people like to use I am affirmations. It could be as simple as I am wealthy. And other people like to state their affirmation in the present tense, like I have $1 million, or I am rich right now. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, but the way I like to do it is to state it by saying something like, more and more so every day, I see that blank. So I see that maybe money is coming to me in expected and unexpected ways. So that's one example. So play with this for yourself and see what words resonate with you. Because if you're using language that somebody else told you to use and doesn't really resonate with you, it's just not going to have the same impact on your subconscious mind. It's just really not going to have the same effect, because you want to be talking to yourself in these words and in the language that you would use. So explore that. Let me know how it goes. In the comments below, tell me, how did this work for you? And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Take care.